Welcome to the Harvesting Wisdom podcast. Together we explore the vast landscapes of life, delving into the rich soil of experiences, sowing the seeds of curiosity, and harvesting the profound wisdom that each episode unfolds. I was thinking in terms of soil profiles. There's at least 15 or 16 different soil types in Bulgaria. There's probably more than
I
that.
believe there are much more.
Right.
Yeah.
But there's some major ones. And one is I can't pronounce it,
Chernozem, yeah.
Chernozem, which
And
is
this
that
kind
black,
of molosol.
right, which is a loamy, um, probably you would, as I rank the soils around the world, I would say it's the top, if not one of the top soils out there. So you have a starting point that's great. Um, you have variety of other soils that are not as good, but that makes them great for growing other crops like vines and wine. So it's been Bulgaria is known as a wine producer since the I don't know how you the thorax the Thracians.
Yeah, Thracians.
Okay, yeah, go Thracians.
Yeah. Траки на български.
Traки.
Траки.
Okay, they've been so wine has been produced in this region for seemingly forever, and it looks like wild vines in some places. To me, I talked to a farmer yesterday, and he said that he's got 8 or 9 different variety growing in one of his plots alone, and he just takes all of that and blends it together and makes a bottle of the state wine from that one particular place. So it's different from the standpoint of you're not dealing in a desert environment or in a harsh environment. Not yet, right? But you do have the remediation from years of industrial farming, and the Soviets are no different than any other, um, really any other advanced Western culture. The U.S. is still doing what the Soviets did with industrial farming. Another word for regenerative to me is sustainable. If you are not, if you're doing things that are consistently damaging the soil, we lose, I don't know how many billion, I think it's 300 billion tons of soil worldwide, some crazy number, right? Because we don't protect it. We don't have that mulch layer or that cover crop layer. That's one of the primary reasons. Then the other thing is when you till, you create, those fines, that dust, wind takes it away. So the idea of regenerative really is sustainable. And I tie in sustainability with business. So if you're running a business, you want to be profitable. And the only way to be profitable is to be sustainable. So if you're exhausting your resources and or doing damage to your production system, it's not a sustainable thing.
Of course. I want to mention something here. What you were saying remind me of a material that I'm so in love with. Um, it's called regenerative capitalism. And it's not about agriculture, it's about the
Life
system,
systems,
life systems
right.
and economic systems. It's written by John Fullerton, Capital Institute. I recommend this material. It's what I can say is that regenerative is a universal principle, actually.
Right.
And it's yes, of
part
course,
of that circular
but
society.
you have this sustainability in it because you do not degrade, but actually regenerative is direction. You constantly go in direction of improvement and not only restoration what we have lost, but improvement, betterment of the living capacity, growing the living capacity of a place. And the same can apply to business, same can apply to all other systems we have today, and we already know that they are not serving us as well as they could,
Right.
if they change, if they shift the paradigm actually.
I started reading just actually somewhat recently in this last year or so, the Korean natural farming
Yeah.
techniques, which throws me for a loop because they're more fermentation based than say Dr. Ingram's
Yeah.
aeration based concept. You know, so you got aerobic and anaerobic. They seem to be at odds, but they really aren't. They're part of
No.
the same thing. But one of the statements he makes that we all know is that agriculture is practiced by humans. It's not it's not a natural thing to begin with. When we are literally cultivating and storing seeds and planting and harvesting, um, and so his concept, which is a great concept to think in terms of, even if you're trying to do as many regenerative techniques as you can, you're always still taking away from the land.
Yeah.
You're growing fruit on a tree or on a vine, you're taking the fruit away. Um, and to make it truly regenerative, you would never take anything away. It would be a full cycle loop. So the idea is that we do still need to have inputs.
Yeah.
And so the question it becomes, what are those inputs? And the inputs that cost the less, and when we talk cost, we're talking long term costs, not the short term. So I think that's kind of the perspective I have, is that yes, this is a man-made artificial system to begin with. So how close to nature can we get, and how much biosymmetry can we have? And that's anyway. That's the way I kind of approach it. But so tell me, and we'll wrap up. So I'm keeping you here longer than I should. But the what do you see now? Um, you've seen great changes here in the last 15 years, and it's not just um, with what you're doing. It's also with the Bulgarian economy, because you can't take one away from the other, right? So you're I think there's reason for optimism from what I can see when I'm looking. What's your take on it? You feel like every day you're getting hit with the shovel in the head? Or?
Well, it's something that happens so often, so I don't pay attention anymore to the hits with the shovel. But I would say what I believe what you called optimism, I see it as a realism. I find very realistic and absolutely possible for us to build what we want to have in the world. And it starts with every single decision that the farmer is making on the land. The farmer should start to realize, to be aware how influential his actions are.
Yeah.
And not in a bad way that he's doing things that kind of are taking or degrading the resources. No, the opposite perspective, that he can influence the regenerative direction a lot. I mean, regenerative as a whole, as an economy, as a society, and of course agriculture. So I'm realist uh, about this, about how possible it is and how capable we are to do it.
I look at the economic drivers that resist any kind of change, and I think in terms of um, a farmer's making decisions that are financial, and in the short run, it's always easier to do the easy system. There's less, maybe they in their mind there's less risk. Um, the government's job is keeping everybody happy and keeping everyone fed. So the lower the cost of consumer goods, and food being one of them, the better it is for the politicians. And it's the same thing with people. People want to, if you think of your entire budget, you don't want to spend half of it on food, right? You want to spend the least amount. So these are drivers that kind of push us into cheaper commodities and that kind of thing. So I think the impact that that organizations like yours have and ours has is, first of all, it's awareness for the rest of society, to understand that their health matters and that the food, the way it tastes, matters. And there's only really one way to get there. So they have to be accepting of maybe paying a little higher value or a little higher dollar for that half higher value. And the other thing is to have the government not block it. I don't know if the government needs to support it because um, anytime we have a new government policy, it ends up seemingly failing anywhere in the world, right? Because they're trying to push something that people aren't ready for. So I think a lot of it has to do with just having society and people ready for it. Um, the only way I see to do that is through education, and it's also though building a bigger and bigger cooperative of farmers who are doing this particular thing, because then they become a group, a lobbyist group, um, to to work with the, get policies changed in the government. So how much of your time is spent awareness with community, or how much with policy with government, and or when you're getting together with farmers, are you listening to what they say? Look, if we could change this one or two small things that make a big difference. How much time do you think is going into that?
Well, for the last 3 4 years, I mostly focus on the farmers and as much as possible to informing the society, the consumers about what's possible, what it is to be regenerative, what no-tilling as industrial way of farming can deliver. It's not the same as what a vegetable producer can deliver. It's different. It's different commodities in industrial way of farming, but people should be aware what is possible and how they can find a way to support even this change in the industrial agriculture. So I mostly focus on that. In previous years, we had, as I mentioned, this focus on the policy and communication with the Ministry of Agriculture. But me personally, I believe that the change is driven by the individual from bottom up.
From the bottom up.
Yeah, because the system it's in its nature to don't change. It is
Right,
very
right.
difficult, and even if the right policies are made and they are kind of applied, if from the bottom there is no awareness what every action is delivering after, positive or negative, it will be just ticking the box to fit the subsidized requirements and nothing more.
Yeah, we Urban Farming Education, who is the umbrella nonprofit, or NGO, um, is where we come up with the idea of podcasting. So podcasting worldwide, it's not always on farming. It could be on other sustainability efforts. It could be on climate and pollution. It could be any one of these things that. So it's kind of a broad base, but the podcasting is another way of just getting awareness out there. We also have a film festival with 230 some documentary films.
That's great.
Half of them are um, professional Hollywood style big things, and they are usually premiered at the festival. They usually, new movies will come out and they'll premiere at multiple festivals, But so we get a lot of premieres, and then the other half are student films. So we have films from 50 different countries, and the student films are shorts, 5 to 10 minutes long, anywhere from grade school to being in university or in college, um, and they're pretty amazing. Some of them, I mean, they're on illegal dumping, or they're on
Yeah.
farming techniques. They could be on anything. And the student films, I think I enjoy those more because you can watch 6 of them in an hour instead of one long documentary series. But those are things we do. We do that and ecotourism in Africa. Again, bringing urban people from really anywhere um, out to the place that we all kind of got started, which is Africa, and you can see big game, and it's a different biome. It's so that's one of the reasons we do it, is just to open minds for students. But our main platform that we push is our education platform. So we spent 6 years. We just about have the first semester, and we're working on the second semester. Out of the fourth semester for students will be their own project, their own capstone project. Third semester is based on research, learning research, formal research techniques. But the first 2 semesters are working in a garden setting. So you got to learn seed, you got to learn how stuff grows, you got to learn about photosynthesis and water and soil. You have to learn about soil. Um, so it's garden based, but it's a STEM education. So science, technology, engineering, and math, because we're in a world of accelerating technology. So this is the same thing you start when you came to me and said, the first thing you said was, I got into it because I was curious. The whole idea of our education platform is to take students and make them curious about the world around them. There's no other political bullshit or anything else. They create their own filter at that point. And so for us, it's harder, but it's the only starting point, is to start with people when they're at an age where they can receive information. Um, by the time they're in their 30s or 40s or 50s, they already know everything, right? So that's one of the things. And so the entire platform we've designed to go worldwide, because what we do is take standards from whatever country or whatever state or whatever area we're in. We take those standards and create a curriculum around it. The curriculum is pretty similar. I mean, planting a seed or storing a seed or doing math based on the geometric principles of seed generation. These are principles that we use pretty much throughout, but um, we still have standards for each country, because then that curriculum it can become part of the classroom. It doesn't have to be an after-school program, which never works. Um, and so that's the idea. Right now, what we're trying to do is just get what I call is the community of creatives. Everybody who's on the podcast that's can contribute something, but I've, now we're at a point where we're trying to start a process where we can connect people that are in that group through blogs or through, you know, shared contacts or whatever. Um, because, like you said, it's a movement,
Yeah.
and the only way it's going to go is from the ground up. And this is kind of our approach.
Yeah, that's incredible work that you're doing. I'm so impressed.
Yeah, it's near impossible. it's like walking into a train, knowing it's coming. But that's our process. So, but I appreciate you coming here today and sharing your story with us.
Yeah, thank you for
last question. What do you see in the next 3 years? What approaches are you doing in the next three that are any different, or do you just keep doing what you're doing?
Well, it's a constant progress what we're doing. I'm working also with composting and with extracts and things like that. Something very practical I want to see in 3 years is at least 2-3% of the no-tillers to become independent from pesticides and fertilizers.
Yeah.
Let's say insecticides and fungicides, because
That's big.
with herbicides it's a bit different. But
I think we're talking organic, and we call them alternative farming now, right? That's what.
yeah,
There's only
well,
1% worldwide. So how do we get it up to 50%? That's what I want to see.
I think that when you gather all together the no-tilling, some kind of regenerative farming, no matter where in the spectrum and in the journey is the farm, or an organic farming, it must be a higher percent. Definitely the no-tillers are not organic. Even if they reduce fertilizers and fungicides and insecticides, they will still continue to use some herbicides, hopefully less and less if they manage the processes better. But I will put them all together, and we are much, much closer to the tipping point, which is 17%. If 17% of the agriculture change,
that's big.
This is we will pass the chasm, and
the thing is
make it a trend.
There's so many variables, right? Like it's your first year doing no-till, and it's a drought. So you blame the no-till instead of the drought, or it could be there's so many different variables in farming. Maybe crop selection, or there's so many different variables that the whole idea is to explain, I think, the process, so it's common sense to people, and that they can see success stories. That's, I think, the big thing is. So what we want to do is showcase a success story. I would love for the group, because it's a small country compared to the U.S., right?
Yeah, definitely.
I would love to see you guys put together a documentary on all the stuff that's happening in Bulgaria, and we'll show it at the festival. So we'll see.
That's a great initiative.
Yeah, why not? You just need to find a good film person, a producer, a writer, but they're out there, and then you put it together, see what you got. So
and the most important, we have a lot of material to show.
Oh, you've already got it
at the current day.
Yeah,
we have a big progress for the last.
Well, I can share with you some of the films that have already made it into our film that are related to farming, and give you kind of a little inspiration on how you can do it better.
Yeah, we're happy to. Looking forward to it.
All right. Well, thank you for being here today.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you for joining the Harvesting Wisdom podcast. Click subscribe and like for ongoing insightful conversations. Explore our webpage for show notes and additional resources. Visit our guests' webpage for deeper insights. Your engagement is the foundation of our journey, and until next time, keep pursuing wisdom.